Welcome to the Alcohol Minimalist Podcast. I'm your host, Molly Watts. If you want to change your drinking habits and create a peaceful relationship with alcohol, you're in the right place. This podcast explores the strategies I use to overcome a lifetime of family alcohol abuse, more than 30 years of anxiety and worry about my own drinking, and what felt like an unbreakable daily drinking habit. Becoming an alcohol minimalist means removing excess alcohol from your life so it doesn't remove you from life. It means being able to take alcohol or leave it without feeling deprived. It means to live peacefully, being able to enjoy a glass of wine without feeling guilty and without needing to finish the bottle. With science on our side, we'll shatter your past patterns and eliminate your excuses. Changing your relationship with alcohol is possible. I'm here to help you do it. Let's start now. Well, hello and welcome or welcome back to the Alcohol Minimalist Podcast with me, your host, Molly Watts, coming to you from, it is a verdant Oregon, a temperate Oregon, a lush and burgeoning Oregon. Yes, I looked up the synonyms for spring-like. It is very spring-like here in Oregon this week. Definitely things are out in bloom. It's been mostly sunny, some light rain here and there, but it feels like we are in spring. I know we're not quite there by the calendar yet, but I can see it and it feels that way. And isn't spring just a great time of year? It feels renewing and refreshing. And that's what it feels like here in Oregon this week. Welcome back to the podcast. Hey, I am looking forward to this week's conversation because it's a question that I get often, or people pose to me, or people talk about it in the Facebook group. They talk about it in our coaching programs because it can be a struggle sometimes in terms of not a struggle, that's the wrong word, a challenge, I think, in people's mindset. Even before they start beginning the work of changing their drinking habits, they want to know how long it's going to take for them to feel at peace. They want to know that if they commit to a program for, a coaching program or doing the work for, say, 12 weeks, will they see results? Will they notice? Will they feel what I talk about all the time in that peaceful relationship with alcohol? And my answer is pretty much always the same. It's that you'll absolutely see results if you look for them, if you actually pay attention to the gains instead of the gaps in what you're doing, and if you continue to take action. And it's a big if. And that's the thing. We're going to unpack this today, why action is really the missing link, why mindset shifts alone aren't enough, and how long it really takes to see meaningful change in terms of feeling at peace with your relationship with alcohol. Now, before we dive in, if you are serious about doing this work, I want to invite you to go deeper. You can join Making Peace with Alcohol at any time. It's my online course and group coaching program, and it's there to help you create real, lasting, sustainable change. And for my ladies who would like to have a more high-touch one-on-one coaching experience, you can talk to me about Proof Positive, and that is my one-on-one coaching program for women. So more on that later, but if you're ready to take action now, there's always links in the show notes and you can check those out. All right, let's get into it. Let's start with a little reality check, can we? You cannot think your way into changing your drinking habits. Now, I know you're probably thinking, wait a minute, Molly, you talk all the time about changing your thoughts, because changing your thoughts changes your feelings, which changes your actions, right? You cannot journal your way into drinking less, and you cannot listen your way into transformation. Now, don't get me wrong. I love learning. You know I do. I consider myself a lifelong learner, and I love understanding the neuroscience behind habits. I love understanding and exploring emotional triggers behind the desire to drink, and I
enjoy learning about the psychology of behavior change. And if you've been here for a while, that you know that I teach all of these things because they do matter. But here's the kicker. If you're doing all the learning and none of the doing, you are stuck in passive action. Now, what's passive action? Passive action is consuming information without implementing it. It's listening to every podcast, reading every Quitlet book, understanding the science, but not actually changing your drinking behaviors in real time. And here's the trap. Passive action feels productive. It tricks your brain into believing that you're making progress. But if you're still drinking the same way you were 6 months ago after listening to the podcast and reading all the books, and you haven't moved the needle, then it's likely because you aren't taking action. This is where a little self-compassion can go too far. Because here's the truth. Being kind to yourself does not mean making excuses for yourself. Yes, we want to remove the guilt and shame around drinking, but self-compassion should never be an excuse to stay stuck. Real self-compassion is saying, I deserve better than this, and I am capable of doing hard things.
Hey there, it's Molly taking a quick break to talk with you about Sunnyside. You all know that Sunnyside is my app of choice and my recommendation for a tool to help you create sustainable change around your drinking. One of the things that I love about Sunnyside is their commitment to improving the user experience, and that has been a constant since I started working with them nearly 3 years ago now. Since June this year, they have added the Android version of their iOS app, so now it's available for Apple users and all Android users. It's the same Sunnyside experience across all of those devices, and it's just another example of their commitment to improving the user experience. Another example would be the fact that now you can set it up for push notifications. So you can take all of the daily texts, the reminders, and put them into a push preference so that you determine how you want to receive the support from Sunnyside. I would love for you to check it out. Go to www.sunnyside.co/Molly to get started with a 15-day free trial today.
So let's talk about what actually creates change. The magic formula isn't really all that magic. It's actually very simple. Number one, we do want to change the way that you think about alcohol. That is a mindset shift. Number two, we want to take consistent and imperfect action. That is a behavioral shift. And number three, we want to evaluate, adjust, and keep improving. And that is where the sustainable shift comes along. Now, let's break it all down. Number one, changing your thinking. The first step is working on your thoughts, and you have to challenge your alcohol core beliefs, those ACBs that I talk about, those ingrained thoughts like, I need a drink to unwind. Alcohol helps me sleep. Drinking is how I have fun. We have to see these thoughts, question them, and start practicing new ones. And this is unfortunately where a lot of people stop. And if you stop here, you won't actually change your drinking. Number two is taking real action. And this is the step that many people avoid. Real change happens when you start doing things differently. Tracking your drinks, like being honest with yourself and actually tracking and planning for how you're going to include alcohol in your life. Practicing alcohol-free days, not as a test of willpower, but as an experiment in curiosity to see what comes up for you, to see what thoughts come up for you, to see what you are making it mean when you choose to be alcohol-free. Number three, interrupting automatic drinking habits. If you always pour a glass of wine when you make dinner at 6 p.m., What else are you doing? How are you setting yourself up for success in that hour? Are you looking for a non-alcoholic alternative? Are you changing your routine, doing something different? And are you practicing feeling your feelings instead of trying to just escape them with alcohol? Because let's be honest, most of us drink for emotional reasons, and we've created a habit around those emotions, and we need to practice allowing the emotions to be there without trying to numb them away. Now, if you're not taking these actions that I just talked about, if you're not tracking, if you're not practicing alcohol-free days, if you're not interrupting automatic drinking habits, if you're not practicing allowing emotion to be there, if you're just thinking about it all, if you're intellectualizing it all, if you're busy learning about it all, you are not going to see results in terms of sustainable change. And here's the thing, no one gets this perfect, right? There is no straight line to success. It is messy. It can be frustrating. It's full of why did I do that moments. And that's okay because the goal is never perfection, it's progress. And taking action is what helps us, create momentum. It creates progress. Action overcomes our fears and our doubts. You probably have heard of Tony Robbins, right? Tony Robbins says the path to success is to take massive, determined action. Now, I don't know about massive, determined action, but I like small steps. Small steps taken every day, taken consistently over time. Small steps help us overcome our fear. Action also creates a ripple effect. What was Newton's first law? An object in motion stays in motion, right? And James Clear, who you all know I love, the author of Atomic Habits, puts it this way: every action is a vote for the type of person you want to become. You've heard me say it. Every choice is a chance to vote for who you are becoming. Every choice is a chance. You don't have to wait until tomorrow. You don't have to wait until next week. You can make your next choice a choice that votes for who you are becoming. And the more that you act, the more you reinforce your identity as a person who is an alcohol minimalist, who is someone who includes alcohol in their life in a minimal way, who has a peaceful relationship with alcohol. Action also builds confidence. Richard Branson says, you don't learn to walk by following rules. You learn by doing and by falling over, right? You learn by taking action. That's how all of us learn to walk. We kept trying. We kept getting up and falling over because we were taking the action. The more you take action, the more you will believe in yourself. And so the key is really to start taking those actions. I do not want you to just think about this week. I want you to take action this week. So if you've never tracked your drinks, please do it over the next 7 days. Write down every drink without judgment, just awareness. And if you already track your drinks, choose one habit, one automatic spot that you typically drink and switch it up, delay it, add in an alcohol-free day. I promise taking action will feel better than waiting for motivation. You are ready to take a small step forward this week. Don't sell yourself short. Don't meet yourself where you're at so much so that you do not challenge yourself and you aren't making excuses for why you're not moving yourself forward. If you're wondering how long this will take, I really want you to flip the question. Instead of asking, how long will this take? Ask yourself, how often am I willing to take action? Because that's what determines your results. It isn't time. It isn't willpower. It is action. It is continuous action. It is imperfect action. But it is action nonetheless. And if you want the best support you can get while you take action, please check out Making Peace with Alcohol. Or if you'd like to shoot me an email, molly@mollywatts.com. I am happy to discuss how I work with people and what might be your best option. The links are always in the show notes. You go to mollywatts.com/work with me, and I look forward to meeting you, to talking to you. You can join us in the Facebook group as well. Whatever it is, don't just sit around listening to me. Don't sit around reading. Take some action this week that aligns with your long-term goals about who you are becoming, about becoming an alcohol minimalist. Until next time, my friends, choose peace. Thanks for listening to the Alcohol Minimalist Podcast. Take something you learned from this week's episode and put it into action. Changing your drinking habits and creating a peaceful relationship with alcohol is 100% possible. You can stop worrying, stop feeling guilty about overdrinking, and become someone who desires alcohol less. I work with people in 2 different ways, and you can learn about them over at my website. Go to www.mollywatts.com/workwithme, or reach out to me directly. Shoot me an email, molly@mollywatts.com. We'll jump on a call and decide what might work best for you. This podcast is really just the beginning of our conversation. Let's keep it going. If there's one thing I know, it's that change is way easier when you stop trying to do it alone.